start the fight, breaking down the walls in the dead of night. I don't come for peace, I come for the storm. Fanboys melt quick when the truth gets warm. Saw content's high, I'm collecting those tears. Just got started, but I'm cutting through fears. I'm not here for brand deals, I'm not for sale. I expose your lies, rip off the veil.
You know, there are moments in gaming news where you just have to sit back, shake your head, and wonder if a company is actively trying to make itself look ridiculous. And right now, Nintendo is giving us a masterclass in corporate self-sabotage. The Palworld vs. Nintendo saga has been one of the most fascinating train wrecks I've seen in years. This kind of PR disaster you almost couldn't script if you tried. If you've been following it closely like I have, you already know why I'm saying this. Nintendo isn't just handling this poorly, they are practically gift wrapping their own humiliation. Ever since Palworld skyrocketed to superstardom, Nintendo's been acting like a spoiled kid who just had their favorite toy taken away. And I'm not talking about, oh, they are annoyed. No, I mean they're going full meltdown mode. Because this wasn't some small niche title they could brush aside. Palworld didn't just do well, it exploded. It's the first monster taming game since the original Pokemon boom that's actually matched them in both cultural impact and sales numbers. That's unheard of. And instead of using this as a wake-up call, a moment to say, okay, maybe it's time we innovate, step up our visuals, overhaul mechanics, and reclaim the throne, Nintendo took the exact opposite route. They ran straight for the lawyers. The big plan: drag Pocket Pair through courts until they either bleed them dry or force them to gut their own game. That's the brave competitive strategy from the company behind the biggest media franchise on earth. But here's the part that takes us from petty to downright laughable. While Nintendo's legal squad is out there trying to nuke Palworld from orbit, their own digital storefront is proudly selling, wait for it, a Palworld clone. And not just a sort of similar title either. No, this is a shameless, low-effort bargain bin knockoff that looks like it was cobbled together from rejected Unity store assets over a long weekend. The name is Palland. This is a survival crafting monster taming experience in the loosest way possible. The graphics look AI generated, the animations are stiffer than a mannequin in a windstorm, and the whole thing radiates that special brand of eShop shovelware energy. It's so bad it actually manages to make Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, a game that already looked like it was struggling to run on a toaster, feel like Red Dead Redemption 2 by comparison. And the hypocrisy here is unreal. Nintendo claims Palworld is too close to Pokemon and must be stopped, but somehow a bootleg version of Palworld is perfectly fine to sell under their own umbrella. Why? Simple, because Palland poses zero threat. It's garbage. It's not going to sell. It's not going to pull Pokemon fans away. And the only kind of competition Nintendo is comfortable with is bad competition. And that is exactly why Palworld has become Nintendo's worst nightmare. It's not just that the game is popular, it's that the quality gap between what Pocket Pair delivered in their very first attempt and what Game Freak turns out year after year is wide enough to make Nintendo scared. It's honestly embarrassing for Nintendo. For decades, Pokemon has coasted on its brand alone. Fans tolerate the bare minimum improvements, the outdated graphics, the recycled animations, and the ever-present performance issues because, well, it's Pokemon. Nostalgia is a powerful thing, and Nintendo has relied on that like a crutch. But then Palworld came along and said, hey, what if we made a monster taming game that actually looked like it belonged in the year 2025? And in doing so, it exposed everything Pokemon has been avoiding for years. Palworld didn't just keep up in sales, it matched it, and in some areas outright surpassed the Pokemon juggernaut. It showed that you could take the same basic genre, infuse it with ambition, give it a modern graphic, smooth performance, and mechanics players have been begging for, and suddenly people start asking uncomfortable questions. Questions like, why can't Pokemon look like this? Or why did I get more gameplay variety from a brand new IP than from a billion-dollar franchise? And that is exactly what Nintendo cannot stomach. So rather than take that as a wake-up call and finally raise their own standards, they decided to drag the entire playing field down. And I mean way down. Their strategy isn't met or exceed Palworld's quality, it's bury Palworld under a mountain of low-effort knockoffs so it's harder for people to see what they're missing. And that's where this little pet project Palland comes in. If you haven't seen it yet, imagine the cheapest, most soulless attempt at a monster taming survival game you can picture. Now lower your expectations even further, and that's Palland. This thing has less polish than some free browser games from the late 2000s, there are parts of the game that don't even have proper sound effects, as in you attack something and it's just dead silence. The animations are stiff and awkward, the creatures look like they were cobbled together from mismatched asset packs, and the environments have the uncanny AI generated stock image vibe where everything feels slightly off. It screams weekend cash grab. And the price is a whole $10, essentially a tech demo wearing a stolen genre as a costume. Yet somehow, despite being one of the most blatant pieces of shovelware I've seen in years, it gets the Nintendo seal of equality. Yes, that same little golden badge is supposed to stand for the best games, the best graphics, the best experiences. At this point, they might as well replace it with a stamp that says, man, whatever, we'll take your money. And here's the part Nintendo doesn't want you to think about. If Palworld ever made it to the Switch, it would wipe the floor with Pokemon. Not just in sales, but in reputation alone. Millions of players would instantly see the difference in quality. They see how far the genre could go when handled by a team willing to innovate instead of phoning it in, and a massive amount of longtime Pokemon fans might start asking themselves why they have been settling for less. Nintendo knows this, which is why their solution is as clinical as it is transparent. Block the good version from ever showing up on their platform, sell the bad versions, and hope casual players never realize there's something far better out there. At this point, it's not even about protecting the Pokemon brand. That ship sailed a long time ago. It's about protecting Pokemon's mediocrity, making sure nothing in the mainstream gaming space forces them to innovate, improve, or admit they have been milking the same tire formula for years. They want a safe little bubble filled with low-effort clones where Pokemon can look like it's still king simply by standing next to the garbage. And the most depressing part, unless the gaming community pushes back hard enough, they're going to get away with it. Nintendo has been playing this low-effort game for decades, and unless people start demanding more, they'll keep doing it. Because here's the brutal truth, no matter how far Pokemon slips in quality, no matter how many glaring technical issues it ships with, no matter how many times animations get recycled from games 2 generations old, and no matter how many fan-requested features get stripped out, people will still line up to buy it. We've seen this cycle over and over again. Sword and Shield dropped with cut content and a laughable visuals, a horrible story, and still sold over 20 million copies. Scarlet and Violet launched in a state so broken it became a meme overnight, yet it broke sales records in the first 3 days. Every time the pattern is the same. The fan base floods social media with complaints, maybe hashtags trend for a week, YouTube will fill up with glitch compilations, and then everyone pre-orders the next game anyway. Nintendo has learned the exact lesson you don't want a company to learn. Quality is optional when your sales are guaranteed. Why push for innovation or fix long-standing problems when you can sell nostalgia and brand loyalty alone? Why invest millions into upgrading the engine or overhauling mechanics when the bare minimum still moves tens of millions of units? That's the mindset Pokemon has been stuck in for years, and it is why they have been so complacent. But this Palworld fiasco, this is different. This isn't just laziness, it's fear. A deep, quiet fear of losing control over a genre they have dominated for nearly 3 decades. A fear that an ambitious indie studio could walk into their space and make them look like amateurs. A fear that the myth of Pokemon being the best monster taming game could crumble the moment the mainstream audience gets a taste of something better. And the worst part, that fear is justified because if Palworld were allowed on the Switch or the Switch 2, millions of players would instantly see the difference in quality. They realize they have been paying $60 and soon to be $70 a year for a product that barely evolved since the DS era. They start asking, why does this small studio first try look and play better than the most profitable media franchise on earth? That's the nightmare scenario for Nintendo. Not losing a lawsuit, but losing the illusion of superiority. So instead of rising to the challenge, they have doubled down on hypocrisy. Their unspoken policy seems to be, if it's cheap, soulless knockoff that makes Pokemon look good by comparison, sure, slap it on the eShop. But if it's high quality and risks making us look bad, kill it before it grows. That's the business model. model, not protect the brand, not innovate to stay ahead, but control the ecosystem so only mediocrity survives. And the irony is so delicious in the most frustrating way possible. The only reason Palworld exists at all is because Pokemon fans were starved from something better. For years, the community begged for deeper mechanics, richer worlds, smarter AI, and modern visuals. Game Freak ignored them, Pocket Pair didn't. That's the only difference. Instead of seeing that as a wake-up call, Nintendo is treating it like a threat to be erased from existence. This isn't just bad business, it's cowardice. True market leaders don't try to crush competition just because it's better. They rise to meet it, but Nintendo's not interested in that. They don't want a fair fight. They want an echo chamber where Pokemon looks like a masterpiece simply because everything else in the shop is worse. And that's why Palworld is the hill they are willing to die on. It's not about protecting their intellectual property. That's just PR-friendly cover story. The real reason is uglier. They are protecting the status quo. They're protecting the ability to release undercooked products year after year, confident that the audience will buy them regardless of quality. It's petty and it's pathetic, and it's proof that Palworld doesn't just threaten Nintendo sales, it threatens to shatter the illusion they have built around Pokemon for decades, and that's the one thing they are not willing to risk. And unfortunately, the so-called leaders of the Nintendo community are either refusing to talk about it or scrambling to do damage control, all because their channels are built entirely around Nintendo. They have tied their identity and income to the company's success, and that means they have invested interest in protecting it at all costs. They don't actually care about the community. They care about keeping the views, the clicks, and the access that comes from staying in Nintendo's good graces. And because of that, they can't criticize Nintendo in any meaningful way. Maybe one day these Nintendo content creators will finally drop the cowardice, take off the kid gloves, and make a stand. Maybe for once they'll do the right thing, not for the company they worship, but for the players who built them up in the first place. And now it's time to read off the members of the channel. We got Koros Objective, Maximilian Pegasus 88, Matt Fox 94, Shade Milkman, Oh No is Justin, Brian Payne, Andy Ritz, J Wesby 65, C-Stars Piplup, Astrius Lane, Maximus 2400, and John Molina. Thank you so much for becoming part of the crew. And if you truly enjoy this content, why don't you think about becoming a member? It's only $1 a month. You get special emotes, badges, and you get a shout out at the end of each video until it becomes too long, and then it'll be turned into a credit roll. And also, I got an awesome merch lined up for you guys. I got amazing shirts, hoodies, I got coffee mugs, I got desk mats, I got a bunch of different kinds, so why don't you check it out also. And please like, share, and subscribe, and until next time guys, stay vigilant.
Cry in the comments, but you won't survive. Like and subscribe if you feel that vibe. We're huddled